Hi, this is Rich with Your Transformations. Today I'm joined by Amit Parekh, a dynamic leader whose journey bridges executive healthcare, elite athletic coaching, and kinetic movement innovation. From his time as managing director of QA Home Health Services to founding AP Fitness Formula and coaching the young elite athletes of the Pennsylvania Huntsman, Amit brings a rare blend of strategic insight and embodied wisdom. We're here to explore with him the intersections of leadership, movement, and personal transformations. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Let's start with this. You've led both clinical and executive spaces. What patterns have you seen, and how care systems either support or hinder transformations, both for, say, the patients and for professionals?
Yeah, I mean, with the care system, it's a whole different beast, right? I've been in the corporate world and I've been in this space where I teach how to, look out for your health and wellness center. With the care system, I always tell every time I speak to someone, who wants to whether lose weight or want to transform into, physique that they're never been into. I always say, doctors are doctors. They're not, coaches or exercise gurus, right? They have a certain way of diagnosing someone and then going about the solution that they want to provide. The healthcare system will never, tell you to like, hey, here's this prescription for going to the gym. I want you to work out. These are the exercises you're going to do, right? That's not their job. And when they come to somebody like me who is versed into the mobility, physicality, movement aspect of things, it puts a whole different perspective for them to now see like, wow, this is something different. Doctors and healthcare system, they do their own thing, but at the same time, that's not the only thing. All right, there's so much more, and people know the truth about what to do and how to get about getting there. But it's like we talked about, it's the first initial step. Like, okay, you know what? The journey begins, but that first mile, the theory of first mile, right? It's hard. It's going to take time. It's going to, knock you and say, okay, wow, are you really ready? But you have to strive yourself, stay within that scope and give that first mile a try, and that's where things change. So, with me, I've been on both spectrum of the corporate and the, well, what I do now is to transform people's life through health and wellness.
Um, yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
later. But what you're doing now and what you did as as an executive in the healthcare industry,
Right.
what would you say the time as as an executive taught you about the emotional side of leadership?
Yeah. I mean, emotional side of the leadership, it's always tough being where you are, whatever job you're into, right? If you're into some sort of a management job where you have to look out for your employees, look out for the people who are around you, look out for the people that you're working with. Um, so many different hats that you have to put on, and the emotional side is always a tough side, whether it's you're working with your employees or working with the patients or working with, the vendors around you. You have to be emotionally aware of yourself as to where you are and what you are doing and what you want to provide, because without that, it, you cannot serve in the space you're in, you know. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely go further if you want to in terms of any specificity of that.
Yeah, I think for now, let's go back to what you were saying a little bit earlier and delve into that some. With what you're doing now, today,
Right.
present, how do you balance metrics and humanity when designing some care model for your client?
Oh, for you mean in terms of if somebody comes in and wants to transfer, whether it's 10 pound, 20 pound, 30 pounds or whatnot, is that what you're talking about? It how to take them from A to B or A to wherever they want to go.
Yeah, and I probably could have asked that better. Here in the West, we're really caught up into metrics and data right now. So,
Yeah,
and people are concerned about bench pressing 315 or losing 40 pounds.
right,
So, how do you balance those kind of metrics that are in people's minds with
right,
their humanity when you're designing a sustainable model for
right,
them?
right. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's first, because people, when they come in, right, they come in with very simple idea. It's like, hey, man, I am 200 pounds and I want to be at 150 pounds, and they have a certain timeline. And now, in order to get there, you have to well educate them as to what it will take to get there, So obviously, the matrix, all of this comes in for me, especially. I have to get to know who the person is, what is their lifestyle, what they do throughout the day, what kind of job they do, if they have any kids, family, and how much time they're willing to spend with what they are looking to achieve. And then we build a model with all of this information. So just to give you, um, you know, some information, whenever I take somebody in, I say, okay, you know what? Let's see, we have about 20 pounds to lose, and this is the timeline that you're looking for. Without even going into any details, I want to look at their lifestyle as to, okay, what does their lifestyle look like? I want to track everything that they eat, without them even thinking about that. Okay, I'm going into this journey. I got to look into eating a certain way. I say, okay, without going there first, let's start with what you're doing right now. I want to take in account as to when do you sleep, what do you eat, what is your activity level, right? Without even right now, we're not even monitoring or tracking anything because I want to see how they behave, eat, move in natural order of life that they already have been for a long time, right? Without understanding that, I cannot draw something that I can show them that, hey, let's do this, right? So somebody comes in, I want to know, okay, you know what? Let's take this first week. Give me all the data of what you do. What time do you wake up? What do you do in the morning? What do you eat? If there's any activity, what kind of activity level are you doing? And give me everything that you eat in terms of morning, afternoon, nighttime, snack, drink, anything, right? Without even putting into the app and saying, okay, we're going to quantify this. Now, I want to see what their lifestyle is before we break it down and show them, okay, this is what we're going to do now. So when somebody comes in, that's the first week. First week to 7 to 10 days, I take in everything that they do and then basically show them that, hey, you know what? Let's break it down. All the amount of food that all calories that they've been taking in, right? It's when you put it on the board and show them that, wow, look at this. You were going about losing 10 pounds in whatever the time they were thinking, but they may be thinking they were eating healthy, right? They may be thinking they were eating the right amount of protein and all of that. But when you actually show them, it's mind blowing because when you break this down and show them that, wow, look how much you were eating, instead of being in a caloric deficit, you were going in caloric surplus, you know? And when they see the data without even being measured, and you expose this, you break it down and show them that, wow, look at this, you know, the amount of calories that were going in were so much more than they were thinking, even though they were eating healthy food, you know, because everything counts, everything that goes into people's mouth, even peanuts or any sort of a, handful of nuts has a calorie tied to it. So when I show all of this to them, that they, even their energy expenditure that they were putting in is not enough when it comes to the food, they realize, like, oh my god, this is crazy. They never thought of it that way, because at the end of the day, and that's when I break it down to them, that we need to track certain matrix in terms of how much calories goes in, how much energy expenditures in terms of, throughout their day that they're working on, how many activities they are doing, if they're going to the gym, if they're moving, if they're even taking any 5 to 10,000 steps. Without that, it's just they're spinning the same wheel over and over again and not getting anywhere.
During this phase with your client, what do you say to your clients who externalize their barriers? I can't do this because of my job. I can't do this because of my spouse. I can't do this because of kids. I mean, How do you help work with people who have that framework they're coming to you with?
Yeah. First thing, it's like, if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And, I break down all these little factors that, I understand. And I try to give them my story as well, right? Because without that, you can't show your client something if you have not been through it. And I tell them, look, I totally get it, mornings, kids have to be dropped off, you have to pack their lunches, all of that. But at the same time, if you're not taking time out for yourself to do something about for yourself, it's hard to take care of anything externally, and I have to empower them, show them the picture of what it will look like. It's never easy. It's never easy to wake up, 5 o'clock in the morning if you have a busy day with the kids and everyone. It's never easy to put that 30 minutes, 40 minutes of time for yourself when you have a whole, external lifestyle with kids, work, job, groceries, all of that. So the first step is to just showing them that, okay, how about we take 5 minutes? Can you do 5 minutes? How about 10 minutes of movement? Can you do 10 minutes of movement? And it's those simple things that once they start taking that small step, they realize that, wow, okay, it opens up their horizons a little bit more to just saying that, hey, it's not possible, right? I tell them, what is it that got you thinking that you need help? Why are you sitting in front of me asking me to help and then, telling me that I can't do it? How can you put 2 and 2 together? I show them that, okay, you obviously thought that you needed some sort of help with your lifestyle. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, And once they move on, once they take that first step, then it's easier for me to understand their lifestyle and explain them that, hey, you know what? How the nutrition works, how the activity works. And then it's easier for me to push them a little bit extra, because now they have taken that first step. They have understood that if they're going to do the same thing every single day and not take a step beyond that to do something better for themselves, nothing's going to change.
Okay. Was something you said, I think you were starting to open up on is, can you give examples of that upward spiral dynamic where they start something with you and then there's all these unintended benefits that they find because they're doing this and it's impacting other parts of their life?
In positive way, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's a great question, because once you jump into the journey of something, you will never understand that there's so many other aspects that will open up. You know, I'll tell you a great example that I trained this young lady who came to me with from surgery of her knees and everything, and she was athletic in her earlier life, and she's in her 50s now, and she never thought she'll be able to work out ever again, because she had a knee surgery, she had the shoulder surgery, and had gained some weight, and never thought that she would be able to do this again. And when we started working together, simple things like with the knee surgery, people think like, oh wow, there's no way I can move my knee to certain flexion or extension. And when you show them that, okay, you know what, there are ways we can move about doing this exercise. You don't have to jump into an exercise and do the exactly way it's intended to do so. There are modification to do it, and those are small steps that people take to get to where actually they need to be. And once they start that journey, when she started that journey, we obviously modified certain ways. I had a pipe in on one hand, and trying to get her to squat into certain range of motion, and she started doing that slowly, and she's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is great. I didn't know I could move like this. And then slowly, after a couple of weeks, she got rid of the pipe, and now she's even going in further range of motion and getting better at that movement. And after a few weeks, she didn't need it that, and she's doing one leg squat, Bulgarian split squat, where you have one leg on the bench and the other leg on the floor, and you're squatting into it with one leg. And she was just floored. She's like, I could not see this. I in my mind, she was athletic once, but she thought she would never be able to come back to do this ever again. And those are the small steps, those are the small journeys that you have to take them through to get there. And I believe, and that's what it takes, as being in this space, for me to realize and understand that, yes, even for me, right, when I started the space, I wanted everybody to be there. I was like, okay, you're here, we're going to get you there. But at the same time, working with the people, you learn that everyone has different scenarios, different situations, different issues, different problems, different injuries, and working with different people with different scenarios, different problems, different injuries, different emotional settings. I learned myself how to develop certain skills to address and show them the way to get there. So yeah, the journey is definitely a multi-layered than just one straight line from that you're here and you want to be there. There's so many layers in the middle that unfold while they start walking on that journey.
Nice. Yeah, I believe that too.
Yeah.
In your experience, obviously sustainability of whatever activity a person is undertaking is important when you talk about transformations, but by your observation, do you see a difference in people continuing with this path when they come to you because of some external reason? They want to lose weight for their spouse, they want to get more muscular for their spouse, they want to do this for someone else, versus those who are wanting to do it for themselves?
Right. That's another great question, because everybody I try to explain, like Simon Sinek says, what's your why, right? I try to explain what is your why, and your why is always external. People's why is always external in terms of like, I want to do this for my my wife. I want to do this for my kids. I want to do this because I want to, run a marathon, right? But then when I break it down to it, what does it mean to you, right? Like, what does this mean to you? I get it, you want to do this for others. You want to do it for, your kids, your wife, your future self, that you want to, attain something from this transformation. But what does it mean for you in terms of, and they don't have much answer over there, because even as a father, I want to do certain things for myself. For my kids. Even as a husband, I want to do some things for my wife. But at the end of the day, it's you who's taking the step for others, right? So what does it mean for you to take that step? Because the action comes from you, not anybody else. Your why may be something, but the action that you're going to take is going to come from you and not anyone else at all. So once they realize that yes, I have to take this for myself. I need to be there so they can help others. And that's where a lot of things changes, because when you show them that this is more for you right now than anybody else, then once they understand that, once they internalize that, they see that their why becomes even stronger. Their why of what they're doing for others becomes even stronger, even more powerful.
Nice. When a slight pivot. When we
Yeah.
met for the pre-interview meet and greet to get to know each other, the one
Right.
question I was dying to ask you, but I wanted to save it for the interview. From your page, you speak of reimagine kinetic movement. Could you
Yeah.
explain that to us?
Yes. So that is a company that I work with right now, and that's their tagline, reimagine kinetic movement. Kinetic is the company that I work with right now, besides what I do on my own too, So that's their motto, a reimagine movement, and basically this is Kinetic is the physical therapy company, and I work with their sister company. It's Train, which is more involved in the working out and the health aspect of it, and the physical exercise aspect of it. So that's their motto, as to reimagine movement. That once you are done with an injury, the movement is a continuous. It's not just once you leave the once you leave the space after whether 3-4 months of physical therapy. Once you leave, what are you going to do beyond that? It's an inspiration that okay, you got better, came back from an injury, you therapize yourself, and whether it's shoulders, legs, knees, whatever it is, now you're able to move better than you came in. Now what is it that you're going to do beyond that? Are you going to continue beyond that, or are you going to go back into your old habits? So we empower that by reimagine movement. We empower that okay, there's life beyond this, and that we should continue. And that's another thing, that's a great question that leads into what I do with my clients as well. Once they leave, whether it's 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, or 12 months of transformation, once they have reached that peak, what they're going to do beyond that, because the journey always starts at the top of the mountain. Once you have climbed the mountain, now what? You're at the peak, you're looking out and saying, wow, this is beautiful. What are you going to do? You're going to just go back down and done? Or you're ready to conquer another mountain after that, right? Most people, they're always ready to conquer another mountain after that. But now the challenge is, wow, that's pretty high. Am I willing to climb that again? You know, and that's the empowerment that I try to build in people, because whether you've climbed the mountain of your own journey and gotten yourself transformed, it's very easy to go back down the spiral. Very easy to go back down the spiral, right? Because I always tell people that, losing 20 pounds of fat takes so much less time than gaining 20 pounds of fat. Gaining 20 pounds of fat may have taken you a year and a half. But losing that 20 pounds of fat within 3 months, you can knock it. And when I show them that it's possible and how it's possible, there are steps to do it. And then when they do it, it's like, wow, okay. But the challenge always comes afterwards. Once they, how can you reimagine yourself into the space of moving again? What other options are there for you to conquer another mountain?
I think that's very helpful to people.
Yeah.
I think you're quite an industrious human being, sir. So
Thank you.
with all this, could you tell everyone a little bit of what you do with the Pennsylvania Huntsmen? And what I understand, they're a team. They're hockey, the elite of the elite young athletes.
Yes. So Pennsylvania Huntsmen, they are Eastern Hockey League, right? And these kids are anywhere from 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, right? Some are just looking to get better at the game. Some are looking to go to a better college and get a full scholarship based on how elite of a player they are. And some are even looking beyond D1 athletes, right? Some have goals and aspiration to go in NHL. So I train these athletes from when they come into the season to end of the season. And it's amazing to work with these athletes because, they are true athletes in essence, that they have a path. They know where they want to go. They know what school they want to go play for. They know whether if they want to become D1 athletes for certain colleges or beyond that. And the one thing that, with hockey, it's the injuries. They come, very fast because it's a fast-paced, very active sport. And, a lot of them get injured and, the life knocks them back down. And they have to go through the rehab, the, operations of how to get back to where they were, and some never make it and go into the normal way of life that they now have found. And some, it takes grit to come back. And some I've seen, they come right back again next season. They work way into it and they come right back into the next season. So, and, these are very young athletes. So, I'll give you a good point. When I train them, it's not only about the physicality aspect of it. For me, mentality, the aspect of breathing, creating a mindset is more important than just going out there gung-ho and, trying to get points on the board. When these athletes are down, I like to prepare them for something beyond the rink or ice rink, right? Even when they're in their regular life. So I train them in breathing aspect of a lot of different things, because let's say when in the first period they're down 2 points and they come back in the locker room for a break, and coach is talking to them about, how to go about, getting more points, how to work on the defense, offense, all of that. For me as a coach, not hockey coach, but a strength and conditioning coach, when I work with them, I like to give them tools as to how to battle that internally, where, I teach them how to breathe properly, right? Because everything begins over here. If you're not clear here, you're not going to be clear here in your heart and your physicality. Being down 2 points, going out there gung-ho is not going to do anything for you, right? You got to be gung-ho clear up here first. So I give them tool how to breathe, how to get reset their mindset and say, okay, you know what? I'm ready. Let's go outside as a collective, as a team, and then try to get something done here. So I love training, and I love training the mental aspect of this game as well.
Well, I think your passion shines through with your responses. Reading your page a little bit, you shared some of your story, which I found inspiring. So I think, was there a turning point in your own life that reshaped how you show up for yourself and for others?
Yes, for me, obviously, I've always been the space of working out and taking care of your body and everything. And once I got married, it was like, wow, okay, you know what, this is great. I look great. My wife is beautiful. We have good jobs. We're working, going through about our life, and then all of a sudden, married people have kids. And when I had my first kid, it was another beautiful thing. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I had my second kid, and it was like, wow, again, and within all of this, you take yourself out of the equation in terms of taking care of yourself, and that's what happened to me. I was so much involved with the family and kids and life and everything, and I completely forgot about myself. As to, I need to take care of myself too. I let go of a lot of aspect of working out, creating that structure that I had, right? And it's perfectly fine, because life happens, and sometimes you just have to go with life. But at the same time, there are certain call awakenings that was going to say, hey buddy, what happened to you? And then you have to look back and say, oh my god, I've gone way too far in terms of myself. Yeah, you have kids, family, all of that, but what happened to you? And that's what happens to a lot of clients that I work with. They have family, job, kids, a career to maintain, that they let go of themselves. And that's what had happened to me. I gained over 200 pounds, and I was like, okay, let's take a step back. I need to rework on myself. And that's when I had even joined CrossFit in 2010, and while being strong in my own skin, I felt there was something not right, because that's what a lot of people do. And it's a good good sport, CrossFit and all the other things. They're great sport, but they don't teach you how to get to where you want to get in terms of mental space, the physical space. It's a great competitive sport to be out there and competing with each other and everything. But even when I was doing CrossFit for 10 years, I never got into a shape where I could see my six pack, or I was strong enough to move a weight from A to B and throw weights around, but never satisfied as to, okay, you know what, I need to, a true transformation takes way more than what people tell you these days. And because these are businesses in one essence, or not, when you think about it, right? These are businesses, and it's hard for every coach, even anywhere, to sit down with class of people and explain them, because everybody has different journey. Unless you're willing to take that one-on-one with someone and say, you know what, I need to focus on myself. Yes, going to the workout class, going to the gym, it's great, but I need someone who can guide me to a path where I can see that transformation. You won't be able to do it, just going to the classes every single day. Because another mentality a lot of people have is, oh, you know what, I did an hour of workout today, I did an hour of gym today, I'm good. And when they come home, everything washes out, because now they go back to their regular daily routine of going, opening the fridge, opening the pantry, and putting anything in their hand right into the mouth. And that only takes priority if you're willing to go through that journey one-on-one with someone, and that's why I tell everyone that even coaches need coach, right? So everyone needs a guidance, everyone needs a counselor, everyone needs a personal coach if you have a specific need in a journey that you want to follow to get to where you want to go. Otherwise everything is just positive noise without much transformation.
Something you spoke about, how would you articulate to everyone how self-care is absolutely not selfish?
That's a great point. Self-care is absolutely not selfish. It is, right? Because we as human, when we tend to put more focus on ourselves, we get labeled as, oh, he's too much into himself, or she's too much into herself. And it takes a lot of wisdom, and it takes a lot of power to empower yourself beyond that. Because once you realize that it's not a selfishness, right? If you're doing something for yourself, if you're taking care of your body, if you're taking care of your life, it may sound selfishness to other people, because now you're putting yourself into a whole different category, and people might say, oh, he's got a big head on his shoulder, he thinks he's too cool for us, or whatever it is. They won't realize that journey until they take it for themselves. Because once you start taking care of yourself, my favorite word is compassion. Once you start taking care of yourself, you are now being compassionate toward yourself rather than everything else around you. And it's okay for time being, because once you start recognizing who you truly are and who you truly are being compassionate towards, which is yourself first, you are able to go beyond that level of compassion that you're now able to provide to others. Because at first it's always going to be a kickback. People are always going to say, what, he's too greedy, he's too selfish to do this or that. But they're not seeing your journey, they're not in your shoes, they're not walking your path, right? Because if they were able to walk your path and say, hey, what, I'm gonna do this for you, and you just sit back and relax, and you're gonna earn the money in the bank, you're gonna get the money in the bank, then everybody would be doing that. But once we start taking care of ourselves, once we start walking on our own path, there's so much more that opens up. And not a lot of people realize that. But when I started doing this, when I started transforming, taking care of myself, look, this unfolded. I'm able to help so many people now because of that journey, because of things that I learned on that journey. Yes, at that time I may have been selfish, right? In my own terms, in my own reality of things, because I wanted to take care of myself. I wanted to take care of myself so I can look better, I can feel better, I can think better. But at the same time, what churns out of all of this is beyond anybody could imagine. And that's what I tell my clients when they come to me, that let's take care of you first. Put yourself first, and believe me, what comes out of it, it's going to be beyond what you even thought. Your transformation, because now they're inspiring other people, they're empowering other people. When other people see them walking through this path and this journey of transformation, they're like, oh my God, you look amazing, what have you been doing, this is great. And now they're able to open up even with more compassion, because they have walked the path, right? They have gone through the journey. They didn't just read a book, or somebody told them something, or they read something on somewhere, or they've watched some video. No, this is their own path, this is their own journey. Now they can actually take other people with sort of a compassionate sense, more honest self they're putting themselves into. Where you and I, if we're talking, you're like, wow, that sounds pretty great. He sounds genuine, just because I've been through this. I've taken that step. I've done my own research. I've been through this journey, and that's what people see. Once you go over that hump and create that journey of your own.
So first being compassionate towards yourself,
Right.
increases your capacity to
Yeah.
be more compassionate.
Right.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. I mean, how would you define transformation, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's another great question. Emotionally and spiritually, emotionally, it's definitely a challenging journey. Spiritually, because I come from India, so I love being in that space of what the whole spirituality of being Indian and all of that is, and spiritually, I can talk for myself and people that I've worked with. It's a journey that I don't even know how to put it, but spiritually, it's very rewarding in a sense where almost meeting yourself. I would say meeting your true self, and a lot of people don't get to do that. Spiritually, when you're walking on this path, you unfold so many different layers of yourself, not just yourself, but how positive impact that someone wants to create in other people's life, right? Now, spirituality could be so many different essence of, okay, for me, being a Hindu, I'll tell you about me a little bit. I grew up with Hinduism and all of that, and when I was a little kid, we just learn the scriptures, we learn about the mythology and our stories of our gods and everything, but we never practice as a true self. We know the history, we know the scriptures, but putting that into practice, living that life, it's a whole different thing, right? So when you create this kind of transformation, physicality, your mental space, your spiritual space even becomes stronger. For me, when I created the body that I wanted, when I transformed myself, something else came with it. My mental clarity, right? My mental clarity. Once your mental clarity is so fine-tuned because of what you have created of yourself, your physical space, everything else in life becomes even sharp, because now you want to do everything with a purpose. You want to take every action with some sort of a sense of like, wow, I want to create that change, not in myself only, but the people that I meet, the people that I talk to, the people that I converse on a daily basis. So spirituality truly speaks out of you without expressing the spirituality. Everything becomes spiritual. Every step that you take becomes spiritual. And I think that is the true spirit and the power of creating that transformation. And that, I believe, can only happen through physical transformation. We can read so many books, we can listen to so many scriptures, we can listen to so many sermons. I can go to a temple and listen to the priest every single day. But until I have created that transformation within myself, physicality and mentality wise, the life cannot be spiritual in no way ever. That's why I like to, whenever I talk to somebody, I like to go deep beyond just the physicality, aspect of it, or what they eat or what they don't eat. I want to know my clients. I want to know my clients in terms of who they are and how I can approach the approach that I want to show them. So the spirituality and emotional aspect becomes a whole different. It takes a whole different uh, terminology, or I would say it takes a whole different life of its own. Once you have gone there.
Okay. In this brief period of time we get to spend together, there are so many avenues we could go down and
Yeah.
explore. If your work were a thread in someone's transformation story, what would it quietly awaken or strengthen in them?
Okay. If my work was a thread
Yes, sir.
in somebody's story, what would
Yes,
awaken in them? Yes.
sir.
I mean, that's a good question. I would definitely take about a second or so to think about it. I mean, for me, it's when I work with somebody, it's the genuine care of who we are as a person, I would say. Because my job when I work with somebody is not just to transform their physicality, but beyond the physicality of the transformation that comes with it. So for me, when somebody works with me, it awakens a sense of this awakening that there's more beyond what they had hoped for in the transformation, right? Because whether it's athletes or whether it's a single person that's working with me, because I'd say with any teacher or a guru or counselor or coach, there's something that sticks with that person once they have gone through the journey with me. The voice of what we had conversed about, the process of what we had taken to get there, the approach, the lessons that we learned, all of those, I think, it's a rock solid transformation beyond the physicality aspect of it, because all of these will be playing over and over throughout their life with them, because whether they leave with me after 3 months, 6 months, or a year, that journey of that few months that we have shared together, I believe that those moments working together is what they carry beyond what they go through, whether with me or somebody else or not. Because, I believe that every coach leaves something once they're done, teaching or training. And because I remember, even as a kid, when I was young, my teachers, they left the teachers that I remember, the teachers that I love and, thought they have brought some sort of a transformation in me. I remember them not because of who they were or their faces, but because of what they had done for me, what they taught me, what they said to me, So I believe when people lead their own life beyond me or transformation, they'll always carry the lessons learned throughout. I think that's one of the major aspect of. I hope I answered your question in as much as you had hoped for in terms of. But we can definitely go beyond that in terms of anything else that you need to, you want me to be bring clarity to?
No, actually, I thought that was a quite beautiful
Yeah.
answer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was perfect. I do want to take this time to say, Amit,
Yeah.
um, thank you for
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your journey, your knowledge, your
Right.
experiences with such clarity and depth.
Yeah.
And I guess thank you also for helping others reconnect with their inherent power in meaningful ways.
Right. No, I appreciate you being with me on here, and it was, it's always, when you talk to somebody, it's always, self exploration, right? Because uh, whether in your journey when you work with people or in my journey, it's always about reminding people that you work with of the strength that they have, that the fire that they have in their belly, um, and the love that they create through this transformation. Yeah. And I think that's the most important part of it, because like we talked about earlier, people lose themselves into themselves and the journey that they're on, into the busy lives that they create. And through the transformation, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, people go through, it brings back to them who they were before. It brings the fire back, it brings the strength back, it brings the courage back for them to create more meaningful lives as they move forward.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, and I think you're helping people in that
Thank you. Yeah.
that uncovering. So for everyone,
Yeah.
until next time, please take care.